In an age of judges and prophets, when the people of Israel groaned under the harsh rule of the Philistines, a miracle was foretold. To a barren woman, the wife of Manoah from the tribe of Dan, an angel of the Lord appeared. He brought a message of hope. She would bear a son, a child destined for greatness. This boy was to be a Nazarite from birth, consecrated to God. No razor would touch his head, and no strong drink would pass his lips. In return, God would grant him a gift beyond human comprehension, supernatural strength. He would be the one to begin the deliverance of Israel from the Philistines. His name would be Samson. Samson grew, and the Lord blessed him. The Spirit of the Lord began to stir in him, and his strength became the stuff of legends. As a young man, he journeyed to the Philistine city of Timnah. There, his eyes fell upon a Philistine woman, and he desired to make her his wife. His parents were dismayed, urging him to choose a wife from his own people. But Samson insisted, for he did not know that this was part of God's plan, a way to create conflict with their oppressors. On his way to see the woman again, a young lion roared and attacked him. The Spirit of the Lord rushed upon Samson, and with his bare hands he tore the lion apart as one might tear a young goat. He told no one of this incredible feat. Later, passing the same spot, he found a swarm of bees and honey inside the lion's carcass. He scooped some out and ate it, sharing it with his parents without revealing its source. At his wedding feast, Samson posed a riddle to his 30 Philistine companions. Out of the eater, something to eat; out of the strong, something sweet. He wagered 30 linen garments and 30 sets of clothes that they could not solve it in 7 days. 4 days, they were stumped. Frustrated, and facing a heavy loss, they turned to Samson's new wife, threatening to burn her and her father's house if she didn't coax the answer from him. Torn between her new husband and her own people, she wept and pleaded with Samson day after day. Finally, on the 7th day, worn down by her tears, he gave her the answer. She immediately relayed it to her countrymen. Just before sunset, they came to Samson with the solution. What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion? Samson knew instantly he had been betrayed. He replied bitterly, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle?" Fueled by righteous anger, the Spirit of God came upon him. He went to the Philistine city of Ashkelon, struck down 30 of their men, and took their clothes to pay his wager. But the betrayal cut deep. He returned to his father's house, his marriage in ruins. When he later tried to reconcile with his wife, he discovered her father had given her to his best man. In a blaze of fury, Samson sought revenge. He caught 300 foxes, tied them in pairs by their tails with a torch between each pair, and released them into the Philistines' fields, burning their grain vineyards and olive groves. The Philistines, enraged, retaliated by burning his former wife and her father to death. This act of brutality only fueled Samson's rage further. He attacked them viciously, hip and thigh, inflicting great slaughter before taking refuge in a cave. The Philistines then gathered their army and marched into Judah, demanding Samson be handed over. The men of Judah, fearing for their lives, came to Samson. 3,000 of them went to the cave and convinced him to surrender, promising they would not harm him themselves. Samson agreed, allowing them to bind him with 2 new ropes and hand him over to his enemies. As the Philistines shouted in triumph, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson with mighty power. The ropes on his arms became like burnt flax, and the bindings melted from his hands. He saw the fresh jawbone of a donkey, picked it up, and with it he struck down 1,000 Philistine soldiers. After this incredible victory, he cried out to God in thirst, and God split open the rock, providing a spring of water to revive him. Samson judged Israel for 20 years, a constant thorn in the side of the Philistines, his strength a symbol of God's power. But Samson's greatest weakness was not a Philistine army, it was his heart. He traveled to Gaza, where he fell for another woman, a Philistine named Delilah who lived in the valley of Sorek. The lords of the Philistines saw their opportunity. They approached Delilah with a tempting offer: discover the secret of Samson's great strength, and they would each give her 1,100 shekels of silver. Delilah began her work, using her charm as a weapon. Tell me, she purred, the secret of your great strength, and how you can be tied up and subdued. 3 times Samson deceived her. First, he told her that if he were tied with 7 fresh bowstrings, he would become as weak as any other man. She tied him while Philistine soldiers hid nearby. But when she cried out, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson," he snapped the bowstrings as if they were thread. Next, he told her new ropes would weaken him. Again she bound him, and again he broke them with ease. Then he told her to weave the 7 braids of his hair into the fabric on a loom. She did so, tightening it with a pin. Yet when she gave the alarm, he woke up and pulled away the loom and the web along with his hair. Delilah was furious and heartbroken. "How can you say, 'I love you,' when you won't confide in me?" She pressed, nagging him day after day until his soul was vexed to death. Finally, exhausted and broken, Samson revealed his soul's deepest secret. He told her everything. "No razor has ever come upon my head, for I have been a Nazarite to God from my mother's womb. If my head were sheaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." Delilah knew he had finally told her the truth. She sent for the Philistine lords, telling them to come one last time. While Samson slept on her lap, she called a man to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. His strength began to leave him. Then she shouted, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson." He awoke and thought, "I will go out as before and shake myself free." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. The Philistines seized him. His power was gone. In a cruel act of vengeance, they gouged out his eyes, plunging the world's strongest man into total darkness. They bound him with bronze shackles and took him to Gaza, where he was forced to grind grain in the prison, a public spectacle of humiliation. But as he toiled in darkness, a small, unnoticed miracle began to unfold. His hair began to grow back. Some time later, the Philistine rulers held a great festival to celebrate their victory, offering a sacrifice to their god Dagon. They proclaimed, "Our God has delivered our enemy into our hands." The temple was filled with thousands of men and women, with 3,000 more on the roof, all eager to see the fallen champion. They called for Samson to be brought from the prison to entertain them. They led the blind, broken man into the temple and stood him between the 2 central pillars that supported the entire structure. The crowd jeered and mocked him. In that moment of ultimate despair, Samson prayed a final, desperate prayer to God. "Sovereign Lord," he whispered, "remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just one more time, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." He asked the servant leading him to let him feel the pillars. He placed his right hand on one and his left hand on the other. He braced himself, his new hair a silent testament to God's returning favor. Then, with every last ounce of will and renewed strength, Samson cried out, "Let me die with the Philistines." He pushed with all his might. The great pillars groaned and then shattered. The massive temple roof came crashing down upon the lords, the officials, and all the people inside. In his death, Samson destroyed more of his enemies than he ever had in his entire life. His family came and took his body, burying him in the tomb of his father, Manoah. The story of Samson is a timeless epic of triumph and tragedy, a cautionary tale of a man blessed with divine gifts but plagued by human failings. It is the story of a hero whose strength came from God, was lost through betrayal, and was ultimately restored for one final cataclysmic act of redemption. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from history and myth.